Hey, what's up guys? I'm going to be going through the CT side, setups, pathing, protocols, and mostly decision making that needs to be had in freeze time before you play out a round. So let's waste no time and jump straight into it. As you can see over here, it goes top bottom. We'll start with just the top half of this and we'll get to the retakes a bit after. But first thing is first, the call out needs to be made by iGel in freeze time. Example, your 1-4 setup, you're a little out of control, 3-2, or you want to be going for a passive setup in certain eco rounds. So factors involved before selecting between the defaults at the bottom over here. The economic levels of the terrorists. What have they saved the previous round? How much money do you think they have due to loss bonus and all that jazz? Second one would be your own economical levels. On the defending side, how many guns do you have left over from the previous round if you did save? How much money do you have, etc., etc. The next one is your spawns and freestyle. So certain spawns have advantages. Example, you can push bottom ramp on the inner side, you can get popped up control quite nicely, and you can aggress towards Addy. Information, anti-strat, patterns, and throughout the rounds. Gain throughout the rounds, sorry. So basically information and anti-strat. So pre-game preparation that you guys have gone through as a team. What do they like to do? What tells do they have? What sound cues are the most likely to make? And that'll give you a good indication where you want to set up. And the next thing will be the strengths and weaknesses from your team and your opponent. So if you have weak players here and there, you might want to just lean towards, for example, the inner side if he's not holding it well, or towards Ali, you want to lean towards Ivy if your Ivy players not holding it well, and also in turn themselves. If they're not taking inside properly, you want to be going for that control quite nicely and taking the fights if they're not doing their T-side protocol. The next important one is positions and roles are not fixed, but the protocols are. That is super important to remember. So if your inside player is a good spawn for Ivy, that inside player, another inside player needs to go there, and the same protocol needs to remain. More so, it's to inform your whole team what's actually happening, what timings are they vulnerable to, and all those little nitty-gritty factors. So let's jump into the 3-on-1 inside tech. We'll do that first. So player 1 inside anchor, phase 1 role and responsibility. Early round utility or positioning to stop rushes, retaining information and relaying information to the team. That's what needs to be going through player 1's head in the initial stages of the round. So let's just jump straight into the setups and show you guys different options how you can go about the 3-on-1. So the easiest and simplistic one is basically your first player running anti-flash to the point and turning and taking those fights. The second player can kind of shadow him in a bit, but remain at a safer distance or a smaller distance between the two. You're running at a similar anti-flash angle and you can take the fights how you want to take the fights. The third player has options. The third player can easily come above this trend here. We'll just come right there. And throw like a pop flash for the gents running in, like so, and anyone sort of posting up from this angle is blind. Let me just get a better flash there. Anyone posting up from that angle is pretty much blind, and it just aids the whole team in taking map control and upper B. I think that's a better flash. We'll get to that now. I think you can go figure out your own flash from that position. Second option for number 3 is if you got the upper spawn from here, you can just run and trade off your teammates. So as soon as they take fights, you want to just pre-aim there. If they're there, you want to pre-aim there. But don't overextend, because usually there's an AWP at distance, taking a shot and protecting if they're going for a 3-man T default, holding upper, if you get what I'm saying. So that's what you want to avoid. And also the 2 players below, because of that flash coming in, it aids them in a sense where if there's a supporter here helping the 2 players jump down, they're going to get blind. If he's here, they're going to get blind. If he's sitting at a distance like so, he can't really see the 2 players down there. Okay. The other option is, bait and switch. This player just jiggle peeking from this angle over here, and your second player playing anti-flash from up here. As the flash pops, you know exactly where to pre-aim. Okay. It's kind of a nice setup with the same mentality with your third player holding up here, but that's kind of a hard counter, and it leaves you outside quite vulnerable if you're going for that setup continuously. You want to just watch the demo, see how the T's play, and then you want to just decide this is a good setup. Or throughout the rounds, you're losing inside quite heavily because they're putting numbers there, and your utility usage is quite good. You want to throw more men at it. So 3-1-1, your player coming through Z, protocol. This is super important. Every round, I would like to see a molly like that throw down, or you can do the free hand molly like that. But I like this molly here because it goes a bit deeper into T middle, a little bit deeper. As you can see, it cuts off information. They can't really go for aggressive peaks. They can't see who's going towards E-box and all that jazz. So you want to accompany that Molotov with the flashbang. So the sequence would be like that, and then you can throw a flashbang. Like, no, not like that. And you can just get into position and play around the back of train, or you can play in Z. You don't really need to play in Z because you're 3 players inside and one's going to rotate through Z, so you want to give them a bit of space and you want to just cover more ground and see what's happening outside if they rush or not. RV player, quite monotonous and boring, but most of the rounds you'll see in the default, you're coming towards RV, you're waiting for the call, they've rushed outside, you want to throw that Molotov like so, which sort of cuts off. Sandwich, so they can't really run all the way down to hell, they're kind of just locked in and all off if they are going for a fast rush, and it gives your team time to rotate back outside and either counter the rush or play for the retake with good post-plant positions. Okay, that's your RV player. So again, your player calls their rushing call, you throw that Molotov, you want to throw that smoke and you kind of want to bunker in and just get 1 or 2 picks while they're going into the site. You don't want to overexpose yourself like this because you're just vulnerable to getting a headshot, and then if you lose RV, it's a bit of a mess and harder to retake. But you want to just stay in a safe position, you want to turtle a bit, call what's happening outside and just control your zone and wait for the retake. So that's the third player. That's the 3-1-1 inside take. So we're going to go look at the 2-1-1 inside take as well now. It's kind of similar in a way. It's other 2 players, let me just go back to there. So one, your AWPer can obviously run across here. The 2-1-1, I'll go through that again, sorry. And just take a shot there. So you really want to come and just set up a good pre-aim. Your second player will be sitting down here with the rifle, a good bait and switch. Or again, your AWPer can play from this spot like so. Take the shot, and your rifle can be playing anti-flash in a position like so, ready to turn. Flash pops, you ready. Flash pops, you ready. The other one is obviously, I've seen this quite a lot where the AWPer is playing from down here and the rifle is playing from here at anti-flash position. But again, I'm not a big fan of this, mostly because if you have 2 guys swinging, you kind of making, this guy's dead for sure. Same story as up here, but I feel up here you have more of an element of surprise. Because if you swing like so, you're definitely going to get your first shot in as a CC. But going back to the 2-1, protocol for the players coming through Z, again, it remains the same. The molly for Z, the molly for T middle, and the flashbang combo. I always like to accompany those 2 together. But now, with 2 players obviously coming through Z, you have the option to go towards Pop Dog. If you're going towards Pop Dog, the sequence of events go like this. First player comes, it's up to you. This is the slow way of taking Pop Dog, right? If you're bad spawn, you want to throw that flash, come to the corner, get the molly prepped, molly in there, you wait, your teammate throws another flashbang. When the flashbang pops, then you can start moving towards pop. This is the slow way of taking it. And you don't necessarily have to have that second Molotov, a second flashbang thrown by the second player, because of how deep this molly is. They can only basically see this much of the world. In fact, the molly needs to be a bit deeper. So you really need to get that bad boy in there. There we go, that's the Molotov. So they actually have no space to work with to check. And this player can just, after his molly, safely go across and into pop. Okay. The first one is, I like this way, it's pretty much the same. You throw the flashbang, you jump as it pops to get across, and you're ready in Pop Dog. Second player again needs to stick with protocol. So again, first player throws that flashbang, and then Pop Dog already. Should be having a rifle over here. Let me just restart. And again, the alley player is pretty much doing the same in the 2-2-1 setup. Hey guys, are they rushing? Yes. You pop that Molotov, and you want to bunker in. You really want to just get in there, take the fight. Because you have 2 players on the outer side already, you can pretty much move in and play from here. Because of that smoke is still up in Ivy, you can be more aggressive towards the outer side. Or again, if if it's a 3-1-1, you don't really want to be moving forward to take those aggressive shots, because if you die, you forfeit all this control around Ivy, and you have no information as to how many are coming through that alley lane, if they are sort of faking or committing to a half rush or anything like that. So let's go to the 1-4 default. So we'll explain player 2's role and responsibility. So player 2 is the player first inside rotates. So those are the two things that you zone just around over there, assisting the inner player. The comms have to be good between you and that inner player. So phase 1 role and responsibility: molly, nade, or flash middle, pending on spawn, get to the predetermined destination, relay that information. So if you're going into pop dog and you're switching with player 3, you need to obviously relay the information. Hey guys, I hear them running above me going towards inside, or there's nothing happening here, or they're spamming pop, etc, etc. So that's the 1-4 default. Player 2 role and responsibility. So let's just go through the 4-man. So the 1-4 outsiders, to counter aggression, if they have really good coordinated outside executes or rushes, you want to get the numbers there just to be able to, one, get good utility placements. So the early round protocol, again, that has to remain the same. If they're rushing, you can't really get to pop dog, right? So by the time you'll know they're rushing is when you get to this point here. And for me, you can beat the utility play anti-flash till you get into pop. You have a good spawn, you'll always beat the terrace towards pop. And that's one of my go-tos. If I have a good spawn, I'm always going to try to go for pop, no matter where I'm playing. So for an inner player, maybe that's a bit more debatable. From an RV player, more debatable. But if I'm player 2, 3, or 4, I'm definitely going to be going for the pop dog. So you have one player inside, one attempting to go towards pop, one in Z, as always, first rotated towards inside. And then what you can do is decide with the 4, how many are going back lanes towards Ivy, or how many are coming through Z. You can have 3 players coming through Z, it's fine. I mean, you just have to make sure you don't congest the space up and you move towards your predetermined destination as fast as possible. So again, your third player can pretty much just get all the way back trains, and with that flashbang can cross towards back green, and you guys can play this in a way that complements each other. So the back green player is complementing the RV player. Hey, can you please smoke up RV first? So you end up smoking RV first so they can retain their smoke on them. And because you have a player playing back green, the RV player has to be playing on the right hand side. Because you have 4 players, you can ebb and flow between that. Okay. The 1-4 is also to counter eco rounds. If you want to just play at depth, I like to call it a linear defense, where you have one player playing in Z, one player inside, one Z, one behind trains, default basically, bomb side train. You can spot all these lanes if they come through, make sure no one's in there. One guy back green, again, you can spot down all these lanes, you can take high ground if you really want to. And then one player playing towards Ivy on the right hand side over here, just jiggle peeking and looking for information. Okay, that's your linear defense passively. So we're gonna go to the 2-3. It's basically similar to the 1-4, but it's called from the beginning, you know exactly what round you're playing against. So the 1-4 default is more so you don't really know what they're doing, so you're dictating the pace. But I'm taking pop dog, I'm taking RV, I'm taking middle, and I'll show you how to take middle and pop dog, alley now. But those are the sort of ideas you can play around with the 1-4 setup. With the 2-3 passive default, it mimics the 1-4 in a sense that it is a linear defense, but your rotator has to bounce back immediately. So protocol was, your rotator, player number 2, with just either throwing the smoke or the flashbang, the molly or the flashbang towards middle, and immediately rotating towards that inner side to support your inner player. Your inner player, again, his protocol would be cool, jiggle peek, I see them, I put down the Molotov, I spray them down, and by then, because of it being a 2-3 setup, it's highly important that after your protocol, the Z player has to bounce back immediately and just communicate. If that player is still jiggle peeking there, cool, you don't necessarily need to be close enough, but stay at a position where if he gets bursted down, you can rotate and be at the right place at the right time. You catch them in that choke point with the crossfire. That's important. If your inner player is rotated back there because he's used the molly or spotted them, then you can communicate your setups, what you want to be doing call I got top, this player would saying I got bottom. Good reactions would be they burst, you take your fights, you pop that flashbang, and you control the lane. You can even dig in if you want to, because they'll be wrapping around oil train. The second setup would be, okay, cool, your second player can sit here and hold your top while this player does the same job and holds bottom. Because if they rush, again, you have good protocols, right? They rush bottom, you can move off, take the fight, or you can just turtle in here. You can call, hey, they could be pushing first lane. This guy has first lane to assist off the coming top. This guy has top, and this guy can call. Cool, we go crossfire, we can take top and just turtle in with the 2-3 setup. The other options where your anchor can sit in this spot here, but this is more of a mid to late round spot. And then you can have your player again sitting in the same spot defending from up here, where you can help out, or again you can sit in Z and just hold this top like that, but it's more vulnerable to this player here. If he's holding top, a lot of work to do if they end up also falling down. Your 3 players outside, alley player, same protocol, hey, they're rushing, throw that molly, you pop that smoke. If they're not rushing, then you want to be just keeping that smoke and jiggle peeking RV from the right hand side. And if you have AWP, very, very beneficial to be AWPing down this lane here, because you can see who jumps through off a flashbang, because sometimes what they like to do is they set up a timer flash with the guy with the best spawn. They can call, I'm flashing outside, and this guy, when that flash pops, gets in and just chills in this spot here. But if you're chilling with an AWP and quite depth towards alley, you'll always have that information, get that kill, or you can call it out. Because your Z player is the first rotator in and outside, your third, fourth, fifth, so your third player can be sit behind train and just defend from here. Just communicate what you're watching, which is so important. You can have your fourth player on green, spotting at depth. You want to just keep one spot smoked at all times. So you want to continuously smoke Pop Dog, or you want to continuously smoke Ivy. When I say that, you chain up your smokes and Ivy. So your first player smokes up Ivy, or when you spot a player, the next player can pretty much do the same. And if that's happening, then you can obviously have your AWPer just either spotting towards middle, being a bit mobile, aggressive, looking for formation if you really want to. But try not to cross this line over here if you are playing a passive default. Try not to just go past this line. For example, you can have your one, if there's a smoke up Ivy, then you can have a player just sitting in this angle, preferably over here if you've smoked up Pop Dog a lot. This is the most advanced I'd say you want to get, or at this off angle. But the risk is, if they burst you down on an eco, because it's a passive, they can just take your gun and it could quickly snowball out of your arms, and things could be a disaster at that point. So let's move over to the 1-2-2 default 3. Player number 3 is in charge of pop, E, default, and heaven. Those are your 3 zones. So let's just indicate it here. Again, pop. So basically getting into pop, E-box sitting on the left-hand side, the right-hand side of E-box at off angles, default to behind bomb train, and heaven just above Zig over there. So phase 1 role and responsibility. Molly, nade, flash, middle, just as player number 2, depending on the spawn, so just communicate there. Get to the predetermined destination and relay the information to the team. So you'll see, I always emphasize, and when you get your spot, if you hear nothing, that's fine, maybe communicate elsewhere what could be happening. If you hear something, you relay it, whether it's utility, footsteps, of those kinds, sound cues basically. So the 1-2 defaults, we'll go through it now. So you have one player anchoring the inside. I've showed you basically what they do towards the inside. Jiggle peek, jiggle peek, jiggle peek, you spot them, you fall back. If you jiggle peek too much, then maybe you want to start off with an early Molotov like so. That's one way. It's a bit hard to take fights with that Molotov. You can see you take damage basically in most of the zones, put guard mode on. And one thing you can do, it's a bit tricky, is accompany that Molotov with this smoke over here. You'll see. Because you have 4 players going outside, that Molotov basically lands over there. And that's where the smoke lands, and it gives you a lot of space and time and room to work with as an individual. You don't have to worry and stress about early to mid-round bursts. So on the outer side, with the 1-2-2, you can take Pop Dog. Again, I'll show you the ways to take Pop Dog. Player number 1 is running, throwing a flashbang. It pops while the molly's there, and you're in Pop Dog already. Second player is throwing as a Molotov. So second player can come, throw that Molotov like this. That's a fluffy Molotov. You can throw that Molotov like so. It lands a bit deep. Can't really take fights against the players going towards E. That's why I like that. Or you can do it the slow way, which is fine. You throw that flashbang. You come towards here. You throw Molotov into Pop Dog. And again, because of how deep this Molotov should be, sometimes it's not deep enough, so a player could catch you crossing like that. That's why I always emphasize and maybe your second player can throw that flash, so other flash pops, you can move towards pop. And it doesn't really matter how loud or premeditated this is in terms of giving away sound cues. They'll call you in pop, but if you're a good pop player, you should know how to play around certain bits and pieces of utility, especially your smoke. Because of how Pop Dog has throughout the years, it's evolved. There's different takes, the double Molotov, the smoke Molotov, etc. You want to keep your own smoke. So if you're sitting here and you see a Molotov lands there, you can decide, cool, I'm going to smoke that off. Or you're going to smoke that off. You smoke that off, you can get a bit closer, or you smoke that Molotov. For me, I'm not a big fan of that at all. But people do it so you can just be a bit safer. But if the double drop, should always be good for one. And good crosshair placement is important. I'll show you now good crosshair placement as to why. And then with the 1-2 defaults, this is when you can go towards Ivy and take Ivy. So I'm going to show you a few different variations of how to take Ivy. One is the most important one, is this Molotov over here. There we go. That's the Molotov. I had this like yesterday. And as you can see, the T's are stuck in the zone, so you want to accompany that Molotov with that flashbang. So you'll come here, throw that Molotov, and you want to throw that flashbang. One of your players have to aggress to this point here, and then because that Molotov's up, you can throw that smoke. And then boom, you have Ivy control. Sometimes if you don't hear that tick, you want to just preempt this angle on the right hand side. You can dig into the right over here, which is kind of nice. I'm on the left hand side. You can dig into this spot here and the rest can rotate off. A lot of teams like to do that, retain Ivy control, or you can completely walk off Ivy, and that'll ensure that when they retake Ivy, sound cues will be there. You have your early warning system, and that's all good in the hood. Second way to take Ivy is the straightforward one. You get to this point here, cool, I'm gonna pop flash. It needs to be a bit higher. I'm sorry, over there. Pops like so, and then you have one player running up, just anti, because they will throw a flash. As it pops again, you want to just stick to these fights here. It's clean, you pop a smoke down, same idea, you can rotate off, you can move to the right, you can hold it, up to you. The other way is, your AWPer, communicate, are you holding higher or lower, and your AWPer posting from there, and your rifle is sitting over here. Again, call you're holding higher or lower, because again, the T's can easily jump up top, or, you know, peek from the bottom, and if they do it together, let's double peek, you both have I think the more opportunity to kill both players with the two of you there, then both of you not calling what you're posting, you end up shooting the same player, trades go evenly, it's a slam. You don't really want that. Okay. And that's default number 3. 2-1-2 alley take. I've showed you the 3 ways to take alley. We'll skip that. 2 players inside. I've showed you how to utilize inside in terms of your setups, aggressive takes, how to play it with 2 players. And then your 1 player holding outside. He's holding outside on his own. So again, you want to pump out that flash. You either want to, I think, pump out all your utility at once, just to make sure there's no rushes, to make yourself look big and create an impression that there's a lot of utility and personnel on the outer side. They try to take inside, boom, there's 2 players. They try to take alley, boom, there's 2 players. That's sort of the idea behind that. So we're going to go towards player number 4 with the 1-3-1 mid take. So I'm going to show you guys the 1-3-1 middle take, the 2-2-1 top mid take, and then I've already showed you the 1-3-1 pop take, but the 1-3-1 is similar to the middle take. Just with pop, you have 2 players sitting in pop and 1 player sitting outer just to defend and help out over there, maybe towards a back orange to support Ivy, but we'll go through that now. So, player 4, back green sandwich and alley support. That's his zone. That's his position right there. He has to just really cater and handle and just try to become an expert at that zone over there. Phase 1 role and responsibilities. Pending on spawn and the called setup, alley supports take the back train pathing to assist where need be. So if you're taking Ivy, you can assist with there. If they're running down middle, you can do that Molotov player that player number 5 does, which is the Ivy player instead of him, if you have a better spawn, and vice versa. So you're basically assisting around that region of the map over there. Okay. Let's dive straight into that. So with the 131 Midsake, so there's a lot of variations how to take middle. It changes pretty much every time a new team does research and finds more optimal ways to take middle. But the protocol still stay the same again. You want to molly, get that flash combo in, and then there's different ways you can take middle, right? You can smoke deep middle and pop that flash in for your teammate to actually take it. Need to get a better smoke than that, the one that doesn't bulge and gives this guy space to work with, which is fine. And then there's the one with the Molotov, where your player comes back green, comes up this train, and you just do a pop one. So it kind of isolates that player. Like so. So again, protocol, I'll show you the pathing. So the aggressor, I'll show you the pathing of the aggressor. So the aggressor, cool, I'm going to throw a flashbang. I'm going to use the same pathing as I would. And now I get to choose. Am I taking pop off that? Cool. I'm not taking pop. I'm going to take middle. Because that molly's still up, you can get a bit deeper. And then you wait for the utility. Utility could be like so. I'm going to do that again. Cool, as you can see, the smoke bulges like that, goes a bit deep, and then the flashbang pops, and then your player waiting to take contact is basically peeking. And again, when you're peeking, you don't want to peek close like that, you want to just get a bit further. So when I'm rating, I'm going to just wait like that, the flash pops, I clear that, and I just wait. You're not doing it in isolation, remember, because you have 3 players. One's doing all the util, one's doing the aggression, and one's supporting. From here, you can either just drop down like so when the flash pops and go for the trade if you really need be. Because he's cleared that, you have the option to clear that. In fact, you'll see a lot of teams with an AWP. I have this AWP. Alright, a lot of teams would, like I see Fallen do it quite a lot, right? He would throw the flashbang like so and immediately take an aggressive stance, fall down, and he really has middle already. You see, it's kind of simple, but I guess when there's a lot of flashes coming over and it's a rush, it can become a lot more complex. Okay. So again, you want to smoke deep middle, do the flashbang. That's one of the ways to take it. Or again, you can use your AWPer to come along, like I've shown you, like Fallen does, to actually take point of contact. So your player on the bottom, again, still remains the same, still the same protocol. I like to do this molly because a lot of teams with good spawns on the terrorist side, they want to take pop dog, and there's a lot of good ways to take pop dog. I mean, there's good flashbangs. I see teams throw like, and they take pop dog with the quickness. And you know, if you have a bad spawn, you really want to make sure they don't take pop, and you can take the middle. You can take both choke points, both zones of the map, pop dog and take middle at the same time, but you can't hold both, so you must remember that. So if you're going to take middle, make sure you really dig into middle. I don't have a rifle. How much cash do I have? Yeah, we just restart a little, get a rifle. And from taking middle, setups you can utilize. So make sure, again, you're playing anti-flash and you're ready to spam like so. First player is there, really digging in, and you can have your second player here. You're both shooting at the same contact point at once. So they'll probably throw a flashbang like so. And then they'll swing off it, right? The flashbang is not deep enough, I guess. They'll throw a deeper one, so that's why you want to be playing flashbang. As the flash pops, you want to commit to the spray, you have a second player helping you archer, and because you're not exposed to pop dog, it's fine. And because you threw that early Molotov and Pop Dog, you kind of have that security, that safety net for the first couple of seconds. If they're going to take Pop Dog, you have sound cues, and then you can react accordingly. Okay. So what you want to have is 2 players sitting inside deep middle, and it's optional because the Ivy player is alone. 100% he has to play on the left-hand side. Do not get caught playing on the right-hand side. If you're taking middle aggression, always play on the left. If you're taking pop, if you're taking middle, so you don't get isolated by yourself over here. From time to time you will, but then you have to react quickly and rotate all the way around and become defender from this point, which for me is redundant. If you can just usage up until a point where you end up on this side of the map, and then there you can have assistance from a teammate. Hey, I need a pop flash Ivy. Cool, there's a pop flash that can come in, and you can just swing off that. And if it's from the left, it's a bit awkward, right? If it's from the right hand side, pop, you can just swing off that like so. So that's how you want to just support each other in Ivy. I mean, you can even throw a Molotov from here as well. That cuts off Ivy, flushes them out. So there's a lot of variables, a lot of utility pieces you can just learn to assist those 2 players. The other setup would be the one I showed you with Fallen, opening from here. And you can have a rifler. Oh my god, no money for. And you have a rifler sitting this angle over here. Playing anti-flash, the shot goes. You really have a good crossfire with that little bait and switch you can work with. And again, because of you're protected from Pop Dog, you can easily swing. If they come out Pop Dog, you can take that fight. Okay. In a player, again, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Hey, they're there. You're going to fall back. You either want to play back white to do double duty, or what I've seen a lot of pros do of late. Personally, I don't like it. You just forfeit in control, but they sit in an angle like that. Where as soon as they see them, they drop down, and you can react accordingly. You can either want to molly there. I've seen Flusher even play a spot like so. Would play like this. As soon as they sees them, boom. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like so, sees them, hey guys, they're inside, and he's already here. So it forces them to commit to the first lane, or they really have to just get across towards the bomb site there, and it allows this player like so just to come assist. But you don't want to, your rotator doesn't want to overcommit because again, it's vulnerable to the AWPer posting up on him. Other setups, cool. Let's go through some other setups as well. What I do like is it's not passive in a sense, but it allows you to ebb and flow in transitions from setup to setup. There's 9 over here, so they all fall into each other, they all complement each other from early, mid to late round. You can just keep transitioning into whatever you want. So 1 player inside, 1 player quick C again, 1 playing on green, like this, like such, and 1 playing on green or back trends. And how this works is, as soon as this player gets shot called as an exec, what he can do is just pop a smoke there. And this smoke here allows you to just dig in and take these type of fights, right? And it gives this player space also, oh my god. It gives this player space as well to take fights in a safe manner. And he can overextend without getting shot. He can just dig himself here, fight with you, and protects the Ivy player. Ivy player, because again, there's 1 player inside, 1 player in Z, 1 player in front by sandwich, and another player on green. You need to play on the right hand side of Ivy. Again, jiggle peeking. It's a boring job playing Ivy. That's why, you know, a lot of them would rather be aggressive or have an AWP, so they don't use much utility, because it's quite stressful playing in the zone here without utility, because you feel you have to check this choke point at every couple of seconds. You almost have to have an internal clock as to when you want to be peeking Ivy. And if there's an AWPer posted up, it's going to be a bad time if you don't have utility. Okay, so that's the 131 Midsake. I showed you variations of it. The pop dog hold, let's just go through that. With the 131 Midsake, you can also take pop. Again, first player playing in this situation here. You always want to pre-aim here. Show you why now, because if they double drop, if they double drop, they're exactly where your crosshair is. They go like that, they double drop, look where your crosshair is placed. It's an easy first kill, and your second player can either just tuck in a little or hold from this position, depending on how middle has been dealt with in the early round phases. So if you do the deep molly towards middle, You throw a deeper molly to flush them out, or you throw a smoke just to fake out or to falsely lead them into the sense of security that, you know, these guys are taking middle, but they're actually not. You have time to work with and space to work with. Again, you can have your second player sitting over here instead of in pop to hold middle. And you can just hide behind E, and you have the bait and switch, so your second player is here, cool. And I can assist there if they're coming out middle. Off the in pop, you're good. And it also allows you to play on the edges over here as well. It's a bit safer. Because if they start throwing utility or they throw the flashbang, you kind of have to commit to the spray here. If not, you can just jiggle away from the util and take the fight over there. Yeah, and I think that's all of it. 1-3-1 pop tech. I didn't go through player 5's role and responsibility, so let's just go through that now. 5 is the AD player, phase 1 role and responsibility. Early round utility or positioning to stop rushes, retaining information, that's another important part, because you can potentially, if you have the AWP, spot that long line I showed you, Ivy in the middle, you can retain the information and just give a call out. Coordinate alley take, as explained in player 4 tab. All of molly, again that's a deep molly for basically sandwich just before hull to make sure they can't rush you in the outer side. And that's just about it in terms of all the setups. So we're going to be jumping into the retakes now. Actually, let's go back to that inside retake. Description. Fan wide across all train to control all the lanes, coordinates to put utility in key zones. I must emphasize in key zones over here, and I'll show you why. Then press forward with one player always on high ground covering. That's an important part. I'll emphasize and show you now. Mollies go back white, side plant, and forest. I'll show you all 3 spots. Smokes go on the bomb. If there's one smoke, always on the bomb. If there's a second smoke, you want to throw on the bottom ramp. Flash points, front oil, and forest. So let me show you all those spots now. So forest is over here, by the way, and that's front oil. So let me just show you all the spots for utility. So utility, molly front oil, basically to push the player off if he's not front oil, if he's in forest. It'll help him out, it'll give you space to get the frag as he's not in hiding, and the flashbang is pretty much in the same spot. You want the flashbang to just pop like so, even a bit more towards you. So you are, mostly because that player in mid-site, if he's there, a player posting up from bomb train, and a player in bottom ramp over here just posting up. So if they're here with an AWP, the flash pops they can't see. If they're posting up from there, the flash they can't see. If they're over here, the flash they can't see, which just helps you come out this choke point, because often or not, there's a smoke or there's a molly here. And when that dissipates, then you want to commence with the retake. Other spots, I've showed you the smoke. You want to be throwing a smoke towards the bottom ramp. That's important, just it allows you to move through this first lane over here. Molotovs and bomb train. Just to push that player off if he's on bomb train. Just to make it easier for the retake, because if they're chilling over here, you molly them, they move out into your crosshair. It's pretty self-explanatory. And the last piece of utility is the flashbang front oil. You really want to aim for that aerial, that fan over there. Make sure it kind of hits that, there we go, just like that. More so, it flashes this player. If he's closer, he's not going to get blind. If he's jiggle peeking like so, he's going to get blind. If there's a player on bomb site, super blind. If he's on bomb site, super blind. And it just helps this player move through the lane. So as the flash pops, you want to be moving through that lane like so. So pathing, let's go through that quickly. Let's assume your inner anchor is dead. They've taken control of the site in itself, but you are able to control back lanes, which is important. Back lanes is basically these lanes. So always, again, fan wide towards the left-hand side. Don't congest this choke point. If there's a fresh smoke that just went up here, rotate the long way. If there's a fresh molly as well, rotate the long way. So you have one player holding the smoke so they can't come through. You have one player already holding the smoke from this side, again, so they can't go through. And you always want to have a player up here. You can just easily like that, spot the upper lane there, you can just hold crouch like that. So to get a crouch like so, you hold crouch and you're there ready. But again, you're vulnerable, you can't crouch back. Again, control all the lanes and then set up for your util. So how it goes, okay, cool, can you molly forest? I'm mollying forest. I'm flashing above as the flash pops. These players can just swing wide. It's a cuck molly. It works, but it's a cuck molly. You can swing wide to control the lane. And again, because either you have a smoke for bottom lane. If there's only one smoke, you save that smoke. If there's two smokes, sick. I'm gonna smoke bottom lane over there. I'm gonna wait for the flashbang pops, sick. Let's move down this lane. Because of that smoke, it's all good. If there's another molly, that's awesome. That's even better. You can molly back wide. That's one of the most important spots to molly, but you don't want to overextend, expose yourself, and then you get shot throwing that Molotov. You want to just throw it from a safer position. If you're from here, okay, cool. I'm going to throw that molly back wide. From here, I don't think you can do it. You can just check like so. It's a bit dodgy getting that molly towards back wide. It's a bit dodgy. I'll give you that, but again, if there's two mollies, sick. One goes towards forest. If you think they're on forest, or if they throw this close smoke, and one goes towards back white. Actually, I want to do this three. One towards forest, one bomb side, one back white. Okay. If there's three mollies. Flashbangs, cool. One front Z, one, well, other than that, I don't think you need any more flashbangs. It's pretty redundant unless you wanted to throw flashbangs to blind this guy above here. He's holding these sort of long distance angles with an AWP, but again, if someone's bobbing and weaving here, it's an easy kill for this guy above. Because again, you're shepherding, you're controlling all the lanes, sick, this guy has all the vision possible, cool. And you just work it like that. And then when you move forward, I just want to give myself a rifle. When you move forward, it's important that you move at pace, right? Towards a segue. So what I call a segue is the molly lands, the flash goes, that's mollied, that's smoked off, that's mollied off, as a flashbang, boom. You want to move, just until you get to this point over here. It's a segue, and then you can continue forward from this point on. Again, the bomb depends on the ticker of the bomb, what pace it's at. The other choke points you want to move through is this one here. Okay, cool. The flash for oil pops. You want to move forward effective immediately. You want to focus that zone over here. You don't have to worry about the player here, because again, when the flash pops, this guy's moving down to control all these lanes. He'll clear front back oil for you, and you have space to work with. It's important to remember you want to retake from the left-hand side. Majority of the numbers must come from the left. So, like I emphasized on the retakes, high ground is important. That's smoked off, right? So you can start focus. You can only focus on the top lane. If it's an AWP player, even better. You can again focus on the top lane over there. So depends how many you have in the retake. It sort of deduces. If you have 5, cool, 2 holding high ground, 3 moving in. If you have 4, 1 holding high ground, 2 slowly moving in, and 1 just shepherding them in case they both drop. If there's 3, again, 1 high ground, but just a bit closer. When I say high ground a bit closer, this is high ground a bit closer from here. If you can get to that point, but I like this spot here, more so you can watch out for the lurks when you have that jazz that happens. That's everything on the inside retake. Again, if you have a smoke, you only want to smoke when you get close to the bomb. You don't want to smoke it at depth. That's a cuck smoke. I'll show you why it's a bad smoke. When you want to smoke the bomb, you always want to sort of skew the smoke to the left-hand side of the bomb or the right-hand side of the bomb that's also kind of covering the bomb, not directly on the bomb. Unless you're going for a straight ninja hold, that's fine. But if you're not, try just skew it a little, just so you can do something like this. So if the bomb's planted in the center of there, you want to just smoke at that angle, right? So you can take these fights like so. This guy comes down, okay, cool, he's exposed. To the left, to the right, and all that jazz. The guy from heaven, I'll show you now why. He'll come like this. You have space to work. You can come to the side. You can spray him down. Or you want to just skew the smoke just to the right-hand side. So you can just tap the bomb and post it up. Because again, he'll come like so. There's space for you to work with. There's space for you to work with to actually just bait him out as well as heaven. Just the sound of the bomb freaks out a lot of the terrorists at times. So it's either they'll try jiggle before the bomb the smoke blooms, or just on a timer when you've tapped it. If they want to peek on a timer, it's to your advantage. If they want to peek just before the smoke blooms, it become a bit tricky. Cool, let's go towards... So the outside retake is a lot more complex and tedious to the inside retake. You'd often see a lot of teams play for the inside retake and stack outside with 4 players because of that. So you watch Astralis that really good outside retakes. It's very coordinated, it's methodical, it's turn-based to a certain extent, and also depends if they have a flank or not, what pace they're moving at. So outside retake, fan, wide, back trains towards alley, preferably the AWPer, holding pop dog from Ivy. I'll show you now how. If there's a smoke, again, smoke the bomb. If there's Molotov, back red and E-box, I'll show you now in sandwich. Smokes go towards little ladder or the bomb plant. Flashbang, go Z, and they go hell. I'll show you all the utility usages now for that. Again, you got to place utility in key areas before pressing into the retake. We're going to go to the utility quickly before we go to the retake. Utility, here's a good flashbang for the outside. You can just throw it a bit lower like so. Molotovs, you want to just aim at the number 1 over there. It's basically to Molotov hell. You see how Molotov lands? Cool. So you want a Molotov hull, and then you want a flash hull as well. You almost want to get it nice and high so it doesn't blind the players in Ivy. As you can see, there's a little roof there, so that Molotov lands, they can take these type of fights. Because this player gets Molotov, gets pushed out, the flash lands, blint. Same story for if there's a player top trains, they're either going to fall down or hide, and then it gives you more room and space to work with, so you don't get shot in these finicky angles like that. AWPer's angle, and all that jazz. So utility for, so what did I say? I've done a little ladder, okay, cool. And E. Here's the Molotov you want to be throwing for E-box and background. It pushes them off, and again, into the open, into your waiting arms to get the kill. That's the important one. So it'll look like this. You throw the Molotov, cool. Throw the flashbang, they've moved, and you can get the kill. It's a cuck Molotov. Yeah, let me just fix that up now. Yeah. See? If anyone's here posting up in Z, they're not really going to get blind, but that's why you have to just, with haste, move across the choke point. The Molotov will obscure the vision just a little bit, but yeah. If they're taking the outside, it depends what you forfeited as a CT player. So if you, as a defender, able to backpedal here and play your post plan from here, even better. It's easier when that flash comes across towards hull and you can swing off. So these guys don't really have to overextend, open up to themselves the background. They can just keep shepherding and wait. But if they've taken the bomb site and they, under ladder and then heaven and all that jazz, then you almost have to have all your players coming through alley, Z, and a flanker. You can't really come through here. You can, but you kind of have to play it slower than usual. You're open to act basically pop dog, and you have to move quite slowly, and you're vulnerable to swings, jiggle peaks, and all that jazz. So you kind of want to just send all 2 or 3 players down here to retake, and maybe one from Z and one flanking. I think that's one of the best ways to go about it. And again, if you have an AWPer's at depth. Cool guys, I got pop dog, that's what you're calling. That's one of your only jobs until you see him. You can take the shot, then you can readjust this into other positions like so. So again, the molly lands, the flash goes, you're moving in, your AWPer is still holding that long lane while you guys are just taking these zones like this. If they have heaven and they have ladder, it becomes a lot harder. So what you have to be doing is the molly lands, the flash goes, you clear out that, and then your AWPer still has to hold that. And then you guys have to swing in conjunction with your Z players to just clear out. Your Z players, one job is to clear out stop, mid-sight, and front sight. What they can do is important if you know spam spots. it's quite vital. It's not vital, but important, and it just makes it a lot easier. So if the bomb's about to go down, you can slow it down. You spam that guy. The main bomb spots, plant spots are front here, towards the side here. Those are the main three ones. If they're planting here, it's because they're desperate. It's very hard to post plant from here, if the terrorists, in Pop Dog and Team Middle and all off, they don't really want to plant here. They want to get it nice in the open. Here, I don't know why they would plant here. It's not a good spot to, set up a post plant. Here, so you can defend from hell and all of if you need be, and Pop Dog over here, pretty much the same concept. If you have a late flanker and Ivy, you can just plant the bomb here, and in front is the more obvious one. It's just quite open to mainly two spots, obviously Pop and Team Middle. So again, spam spots if you know them, sick if you don't, go learn them. Under that train, you'll get their toes. Let's get more flash stuff here. So again, let me reiterate, it's very important for your AWP to be holding a deep angle towards Pop Doge, and your two players to be either retaking from a close angle here. While he lands, they can move, they can hold, flash pops, then they can move forward and clear out these zones like here. Then you can just check top trains, you can move towards Sandwich, and just commence with the retake there. If there's a smoke, it's always important to remember you want to be smoking the bomb at these stages in the round. Either to fake it out and bait them, or to hold the defuse fully while your teammates are defending. And if you have good defense, if you're holding high ground here, because you've mollied off E-Box and back brown, they can only be in Sandwich, they can only be in Olof, they can only be in Pop Dog and Team Middle. So if you have high ground from this point of view, it's great. If you have high ground from this point of view, okay, cool. Hold on, I'm going to the side here. Like so, cool, you can just see there and there, right? It's harder, you can tap the bomb and you can just hold. Or if you just hold the bomb, then you really need to be quite active in this zone and defending your diffuser. And guys, I think that's about it when it comes to CT side train. And again, this is from the beginner to the intermediate stage of Counter-Strike. You can learn a few things in there. Nothing from the defaults, from the 9 that I've put up there. Complications comes in is when they're rushing, and how do you react. So after this, you plan reactions, and from there things should be smooth, and you just communicate again the factors involved before selecting a default. But guys, thank you. I hope this is informative and you guys can take something away from it, and I think next I'll be doing Mirage. But sweet, peace, your boy Black Hammer.